Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So today's video is some more returns. We've got both a very small PSA return and then also a BGS return. All of these are on the $50 tier, so that for PSA that's called economy, for BGS that's regular. And I think the turnaround time was pretty similar between the two. PSA was probably a little bit slower, but only like a few weeks. So yeah, the PSA return is 6 cards. Most of this is European print ultimate rares from TLM. And then the final card is, I think, from MFC. So we're starting off with a Brain Control, European ulti. This was the only card in the submission I didn't think had a chance for a gem. You guys get to see it's way off center. Aside from that, it's a pack fresh card, very nice. So I was hoping for a 9. And sadly, we just got the PSA 8. So, I mean, it was probably the least important card to me in the submission, so I'm not that mad that it got an 8. But yeah, I'll probably just crack it for the binder as it is. Next up is the biggest card in the submission. This is a European print Elemental Mistress Doriado from the Lost Millennium. This was previously a BGS 9.5 with a 9 on surface. I didn't think there was any fair reason for the 9 on surface, so I decided to crack it, send it to PSA, see if we could get that 10. And we did. We got a PSA 10. So this is amazing. I believe it's a pop 1 in European print. So very hard to put a value on it. But I would say the value is way higher than a North American print. First off for the rarity, but secondly just for how awesome that foil looks. The North American print, I don't have one to hand, but it pretty much has no pattern on the foil whatsoever. Whereas this has just one of the most beautiful patterns of any card in the TCG. So yeah, that's very, very cool. Easily one of my favorite cards I've rated in recent times. And I'm very happy to add that to the collection. Next up, we have another very awesome card, Card of Sanctity from TLM. Again, you can see that Euro print foil just absolutely popping. I have seen a couple of these in PSA 10 before. This one got a BGS 9. I think it had an 8.5 surface just for a very light ulti stamp on the back. So I figured it was worth a crack, see if we could get that PSA 10. And we did, we got a PSA 10. So yeah, again, just a very cool card to add to the collection. The value on this one isn't anything crazy. I'd assume it's just like a few hundred or something like that. But yeah, very cool looking card. Pretty iconic in my opinion with, you know, how it featured in the anime. Obviously the effect in the anime was a lot better than what it actually is. But yeah, I'd still say there's a lot of nostalgia to this card, as well as aesthetics in European print. So the next one is an Ancient Gerb Beast. This was a BGS 9.5 with a 9 on surface, I think, so very similar to the Doriado. I actually thought this was the cleanest card in the submission. I was pretty confident this would get a PSA 10, and it got a 9, so that's just how PSA is sometimes. I don't see any edgeware or cornerware or anything on this card whatsoever. So yeah, definitely one I'm going to crack and resubmit. Since I have the Ancient Gear Golem already as a PSA 10, it would be nice to complete that set of both of those from TLM. The final card from TLM is a Reshef, the Dark Being. You guys kind of saw the grade already, so there's no point in covering it up. This is, again, European print, again crossed from a BGS 9.5 to a PSA 10. So yeah, very happy, honestly very happy with the submission overall. This kind of gem rate isn't something you get very often from PSA, even if the cards are clean. Which these cards absolutely are. These are all pack fresh cards, which I was disappointed in the first place that they didn't get quad 9.5s at BGS. So yeah, it's nice to have some justice, see them slapped up as PSA 10s after all of that. And the final card in the submission is a Tribe Infecting Virus. For me, it's the most nostalgic card in MFC. And again, I think this was a BGS 9, actually, with an 8.5 on centering, just because it's tilted. I figured it might get a PSA 9 because of that centering tilt, but it would probably have a good chance at a PSA 10 as well, since it's super clean. And we got the PSA 10, so very cool. Yeah, I pulled this card back in the day, right when MFC came out, so I just have a lot of memories associated with it. And if I was going to have one card as a PSA 10 from MFC, honestly, this is probably it. So that does it for the PSA returns. Now we're going to hop straight into the BGS ones. I believe we have something like 8 or 9 cards here, and the majority of it is faded. Pretty much the only exception is this Swords of Revealing Light. This is a wavy print First Ed Swords. And the reason I sent this one to BGS is because I have the other 9 supers from LOB already as gem mint, 9.5s, in wavy print specifically. So if I could get this as a gem, that would complete my set. I picked this up as a PSA 9. It looked very, very clean. You guys can see no real edge or corner wear. The surface is great as well. So yeah, I was hopeful for a 9.5, especially hopeful for like a quad or better. And we did get a 9.5, and we also got a 10 on edges, which is nice. But we did get the 9 on surface, which is a little bit disappointing. In my opinion, it deserved a 9.5 for sure. But that is often how it goes with BGS, sadly, especially on wavy print cards. So I'm still glad that I could complete the set of super rares in gem mint. So I probably will keep this as a 9.5 for now. But it's pretty tempting to cross it to PSA, since a PSA 10, for this card especially, will be worth a lot more than what it is at the moment. All right, next up is a super faded Time Wizard from MRD. I've pretty much given up on sending faded cards to PSA because every single time I've sent them a faded card this year, it's come back an 8 or lower. It's pretty infuriating because I see other people get 9s and even 10s on very faded cards, so there's no real consistency going on there. But yeah, I just prefer sending to BGS because you can be pretty sure if you send them a mint card that's faded that you should get at least a 9. So yeah, this one came from eBay a little while back. I didn't think it was going to gem. I thought it would get a 9 of some description, and that's exactly what it got. It got BGS 9 with a 9.5 on edges. Rest of them are just 9. So yeah, very nice. This is actually the highest grade I've ever gotten on a Time Wizard, so I will keep it in my collection for now, as it is. And hopefully at some point I can upgrade to a gem, but yeah, very cool card, regardless if it's a 9 or a 9.5. The next card will be pretty familiar for some of you guys. This has already been in 2 different BGS returns on the channel. The first time it got a BGS 6 with a 5 on surface because it was faded. Then BGS agreed to regrade it for free, and they gave it a 7 with a 6 on surface for no apparent reason whatsoever, because they actually labeled it as a printing error at that point. So I couldn't be bothered to contact them again about the card, because I knew even if they agreed to take it back for a 3rd time, it was probably just going to bump to a 7.5 or an 8. And it just deserved a lot better than that. So I decided to crack it, resubmit it raw. And we got a BGS 9 this time, so a lot closer to what I expected. The 9 surface is actually fair on this one. I think it had one little scratch on the back. 9 centering is pretty questionable. I'm not really sure why it didn't get a 9.5 on centering. That's what it had before, and honestly I would say the centering is very strong. I wouldn't even be that surprised if it came back a 10 on centering from some graders, but yeah, I do for sure think it should get a 9.5. Not sure if I'm going to resubmit it because obviously it's kind of expensive submitting it for review to get that centering bumped to a 9.5. So I may keep it as it is, just as a 9. It's still nice to have it in a silver label slab after how it graded so badly the previous times. So yeah, very cool card and a decent enough grade. The next card is one of the best in the whole submission. This is a Solemn Judgment, and you guys can see this thing is super faded. I would say for sure, like, this is as faded as you tend to find on any Metal Raiders card. That background is pretty much just gray. And this card is very minty as well. I thought if we got a really nice grader, this thing could even get 10s on all the condition subgrades. But I didn't expect it because honestly, BGS very rarely gives 10s on any condition subgrades nowadays. So yeah, hoping for a gold label on this, and that's what we got. We got a gold label, BGS 9.5. It got a 9 on centering, which is, I guess, understandable. But honestly, I would say the centering is at the point where it could probably get a PSA 10. It's really not bad. So it could have got a 9.5 on centering as well. But yeah, with how harsh BGS tends to be these days, I'm never going to complain if it's at least a gold label. Next up is another card I've never graded as a gem before. This is Acts of Despair. And the reason I didn't send this one to PSA is because of that slight centering shift. It is actually slightly faded as well, which is very cool. It's not really something you see on MRL very often. But PSA would normally allow this kind of fade to be graded as a 10 anyway, if the card deserved it otherwise. So yeah, the very reason I subbed it to BGS was just that centering. So the expectation was a 9 on centering, 9.5 on the rest. And that's exactly what we got. So yeah, very cool. Nice to see BGS actually getting the subgrades right for once. Because if you guys have seen my other returns, I've had a lot of them where the subgrades just had no correlation to the condition of the card, even if the overall grade was roughly correct. Got one more lightly faded card from a later set. This one's from Labyrinth of Nightmare, Destiny board. This was another card I subbed, mostly just because of it being off-center. I figured if we got really lucky, we might be able to pull the 9.5 with a 9 on centering. But this one is more OC than the Axe of Despair. So honestly, I did expect a 9 overall, hopefully with gem mint condition subs. And we got pretty much that. We got a 9. It does have an 8.5 centering. It has a 9 on corners, which I'm not really sure why it got. But yeah, it doesn't change the overall grade, so I'm completely fine with that. This one will probably be for sale just because I have a PSA 10 Destiny board already. So we have 3 cards left. Next one is another one that's a resub. This was a BGS 9 before with 3 9.5s and an 8.5 surface. The surface is very clean, and I thought it could get better than an 8.5, so I cracked it, resubmitted it, hoping for that gem mint gold label grade. And this time, the surface did do better. It got a 9, but the centering got a 9 as well, which was a 9.5 before. And I was very surprised by that. It's kind of similar to the twin-headed Thunder Dragon. You guys can see it's just got great centering both ways. So yeah, I really have no idea why it got a 9 on centering. To me, it's like one of the best center cards in the entire submission. And it's for sure a lot better than some of the other cards that were getting 9 on centering as well, like the Solemn Judgment. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Not sure if I'm going to review this to try and bump the centering or just crack it and resubmit it raw again. But I definitely will give this at least one more crack for a gold label, because I just think faded wavy SDK Blue Eyes as a 9.5 would be incredible. Now the next card is kind of the other half of the pair. So this is a faded wavy SDK, and this is a faded wavy SDY Dark Magician. Maybe a touch less faded than the Blue Eyes, but still decently enough faded that I think they make a pretty good set together. It took me a long time to track down a clean copy of this card. It's not quite as clean as the Blue Eyes. It has, 1 or 2 scratches on the back and stuff like that. So I figured it might not get the 9.5. And I was actually wrong there. We got a gold label 9.5 on this. So that's very, very cool. It's kind of weird to me that this would grade better than the Blue Eyes when, in my opinion, the Blue Eyes is for sure a better gem candidate. But yeah, definitely a card that I'm very happy to have graded. You guys can see the nice wavy texture it has there. This will be a keeper, and I'm hoping I can get that Blue Eyes as a 9.5 to then have the matching set. That would be awesome. Alright, and the final card, this one came as a big surprise for me. So if you guys have seen the previous bulk return that I posted for BGS, this card actually got a BGS 9, and my other 2 gods, which were in less good condition, got 9.5s. My original expectation on this was either a very strong 9.5 or even a BGS 10. But that was back when BGS were giving, I would say, more 10s than they do now. And so when I resubmitted this, I thought realistically, it was just going to get a basic 9.5 or something like that. Even though it's super clean, I just didn't expect that I would ever get a pristine from BGS on an old school card. So just to show you guys the condition, the back centering is pretty off. That's usually the case with GBI. Aside from that, I would say it is as close to a flawless card as you're going to find. And the grade we got on this Slide for the Sky Dragon was actually a pristine 10. So yeah, I was kind of speechless when I saw the grade. It's been almost 2 years since I graded a BGS 10. The subgrades don't quite make sense to me because the centering is, I would probably say just a 9.5. And then the surface, I would say, should be a 10. There's nothing really wrong with it. But yeah, you're never going to see me complaining whatsoever about getting a BGS 10. This is honestly very cool. I would say Slifer is easily the best god card. And a BGS 10 is a lot rarer to come by on these than a PSA 10. So PSA 10 is probably 700-800 bucks, maybe 1,000 on a good day. I would say this is easily 2,000 plus. Could be even quite a lot more, because this is the kind of card that collectors just love to have something exclusive about the copy they own. And yeah, owning a BGS 10 is about as exclusive as you could get, aside from a black label, which I'm not sure even exists. So yeah, very nice way to end the submission. Kind of a surprise after not having any BGS 10s and all the hundreds of cards I've submitted in the last couple of years. But yeah, it just goes to show that even nowadays, where BGS tends to be so harsh on grading, you can still get a nice grader here and there, and that's nice to see. With that being said, that pretty much brings us to the end of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the returns, both PSA and BGS. With that being said, this is Schlost signing out, and I hope you guys all have a great day.